Hello y'all, and welcome to the Season 4 premiere of the Everything Bagel channel. I'm so pumped for what this year has to bring, and I can't wait to make more content. So let's go right into it with today's video. Now, a while back, I did a two-parter, sort of comprehensive review of all of the LEGO games I've played. And looking back, that probably should have been more like a four-parter, because both videos were like 20 minutes. But when you talk about several games across the span of only like 2 videos, it is hard to get all of your thoughts out. So for the future of this channel, I would like to focus in on some of those video games so I can go further into detail about them. And just on the other hand, like I've been making so many Survivor and like Mass Singer videos lately that I just want to take a break and make something different. So I'm going to talk about LEGO Star Wars today, if that's, that's going to be pretty fun, I think. And if you couldn't already tell, over these next 3 episodes, I will be talking about LEGO Star Wars, the complete saga. LEGO Star Wars is widely considered the best LEGO game of all time, which, it is an excellent game with a lot of nostalgia value, and even with that, it still holds up well 14 years later. Actually, is it 14 years? Actually, it might be more than that. But you'll see that there were some parts of this game that made it super fun to play, and other parts that made it kind of a nightmare. But more on that later. Now, you've probably come to learn that I like to organize my reviews of things by ranking. So today, because there's 36 levels in LEGO Star Wars, and there's no way that I would be able to make a video, rank all these in one video. As I said, it's going to be a 3-parter. So I'm going to take it in 12 level increments, so I'm going to be ranking the bottom 12 levels today. So like I said, this video, I'm going to be talking about the worst of the worst in LEGO Star Wars, the complete saga, and at dead last, I put Battle over Coruscant, the opening level of Episode 3. Episode 3 is a pretty hit-and-miss episode gameplay-wise. There's quite a few good levels in this episode, but a couple of stinkers, and this level is just abysmal. I don't even know what else to say. I mean, it's a vehicle level, and you'll find that vehicle levels were some of the worst levels in this game. The bottom 12 actually are made up of a lot of vehicle levels, but this is even bad for a vehicle level. Probably the most disappointing thing about this level is that you can barely move around throughout the level. You're basically fixed to like an invisible track, and the only thing that you do throughout the levels is shoot at random things, like, shoot at, like, gates to open up. You might think that they didn't let you roam around the level because of all the chaos that's happening within the level, but, I mean, they give you free reign to fly over all over the place in plenty of other chaotic settings. So, this level just feels, like, really dated. It's too simple, boring, and yet it still manages to be super frustrating, which is, like, the worst of the worst. Once again, another vehicle level, and also continuing with the trend of episode openers now, with the first level of Episode 2, Attack of the Clones, and this level is very colorful, sort of. It's very colorful and very dull at the same time, which is kind of funny. But it's also, like, super short and really monotonous, even by vehicle level standards. It's very repetitive, and you can literally, like, do the whole thing in, like, probably 5 minutes, and that's sad. And the final boss of this level is by far the easiest boss in, like, any LEGO game. I've actually beaten her without fully realizing it because her hit points drain so quickly, and she has a lot of them too. This level is also extremely hard to 100% complete because a lot of the mini-kits are in really hard to find places, and on top of that, it's just a bustling and fairly, like dark level when it comes to lighting. And on an old game, on an old TV, it's really hard to see what I'm shooting at exactly. Actually, I'm playing on a new TV too, but like with the adapters and stuff, the picture quality goes down. All I can say is at least this level actually resembles a level, and the fact that you play as the Millennium Falcon is somewhat redeeming. And actually, after I went back and played this level again, like in story mode, no, it's not redeeming. The fact that you're playing as the Millennium Falcon actually makes it suck even worse, because you think that you're gonna have a fun time playing as the Millennium Falcon, but the Millennium Falcon is actually kind of trash. I'm probably gonna come under fire for saying that, but in my opinion, like, the shooting, the bolts or whatever things that the Falcon shoots are, like, super inaccurate. It's not like, you know what I mean, like, it's hard to hit things, and I have a problem with that. But anyways, this level is still extremely tedious with that in mind, with the constant having to use torpedoes and those drag bomb things, which is a very common theme with vehicle levels in this game. There's a lot of that, and it can get really frustrating. Even of levels that feel like a conventional level, this one is still pretty meh. The scenery gets really old, and a level is a snooze fest when it includes the whole Millennium Falcon getting swallowed by a moonworm thing. I mean, I think that's in the level. And it's not enough to save the level for me, honestly. Now, I will admit, this level can be fun, especially in free play mode, because literally everything is destructible, and you can have a great time, which brings this level up by a lot. But I'm trying to judge each level predominantly by their story mode version. That doesn't mean that some of my judgments will have, like, the free play mode or the challenge mode weighed into it a little bit. But I'm trying to go, like, strictly from story mode as best as I can. And that brings this that brings this level down by a lot. It's long, tedious, and downright frustrating. Now, I think I am a little bit biased by the Blue Mini Kit Challenge. Like I said, sometimes this will weigh into my judgment. It's basically story mode on crack. That's how I would describe the Blue Mini Kit Challenge. If you don't know, basically, Blue Mini Kit Challenge is like a thing that you have to do to 100% every level. And you have to basically play through the level in story mode, but then there are these like blue mini kits that you have to get 10 of them in a certain amount of time that varies depending on the length of the level. And luckily you don't have to actually do anything to get these mini kits. You'll just find them. It's like a scavenger hunt, but it's still really frustrating. I don't like it. This level sends shivers down my spine in a bad way. Like it was a pain, I guess, a drag to drag those bombs to, like, blow up targets in Falcon Flight, right? Well, now try doing that, not in space now, but on a planet mere feet above land. And actually, now that I think about it, I don't even think there are any drag bombs in Falcon Flight, but there are the drag bombs in this one. And using those on land, where there are exponentially more hazards to bump into and get disconnected from the bomb, is just really, I don't like it. This made pretty much every single iteration of this level a living hell, and I think most players will agree. Other than that, the final phase is pretty underwhelming for a level called Hoth Battle, and it seems too similar to other levels in the game. Finally, we get to our first and worst non-vehicle level, the opening level to Episode 4, A New Hope, and this is probably my biggest hot take, because I feel like a lot of people do love this level, and I did too at one point, but after going back and playing through all the levels over again, this level is ridiculous. For one thing, it's a very monotonous level visually. And the layout of this level has so many different corridors and hallways and just side rooms splayed throughout the level that it almost feels like a maze. I will give it that it does do a good job of translating some of the most iconic scenes from the original trilogy to Lego form, but this is a level that, once I was done 100% completing it, I shut off my Wii and called it a day, because for some reason, digging out all the nooks and crannies took what felt like hours on one single level, and luckily the rest of the levels in Episode 4 are pretty solid, though. You know, I bet some people may disagree, but this level just never really jived with me. It's not a terrible level. I just feel like the arena level is kind of a trope in LEGO games that should probably just die if it hasn't already. I never really liked these kinds of levels, which is why I pretty much quit with LEGO Star Wars: The Clone Wars, because it appeared to be chock full of them. This level doesn't seem like a normal level. For like one thing, the level still has phases technically, but the setting of the level stays the exact same, which is a really weird experience. It's also just a lot of killing enemies. That's basically the whole level, which is, like, it's a pain. And one of the biggest pains in the game is like the mobs of enemies, especially when you're trying to like build something or do something. And luckily that was fixed in newer games, but that was one of the most frustrating parts of this whole game. And it's you know, it is a breeze to get 100% on as free play, and especially the Blue Mini Kits challenge are actually really easy for obvious reasons. And here we go, back with more vehicle levels. You know I couldn't stay away from them for long. Now this one, which is also the very last level in the game, might I add, is a pretty straightforward level. It's not too long, not too difficult, but you also have you also have complete control of your ship, and it takes place in one of the most important parts in the Star Wars canon. So playing it can be fun, but it's a vehicle mission, and not even the best one in my opinion. What really brought this level down for me is the Blue Mini Kits challenge, which I know I said I'd base most of my judgments on story mode alone, but emphasis on most, like I already said. You only get 10 minutes to find all 10 Blue Mini Kits in this level, which is normal, but they're pretty evenly distributed across the level, with 3 of them taking place in the final phase, where you're just fleeing the Death Star at that angle where you're facing the screen, which I just love. No, I don't. But without the auto torpedo extra, the first phase eats up a lot of time because you have to scrounge the space for the torpedoes and like shooting them from other like ships, and that makes the rest of the challenge a real white knuckler throughout like the whole Death Star, where many times I thought I actually wasn't going to make it. So it's an okay level, ruined by some unfortunate timing problems with some like game modes. That's just what I think. Now, I do dislike this level. In the script I said I hate it, but I don't know if I hate it. Compared to the previously mentioned vehicles levels though, it does seem like an S tier level for sure. It's the first vehicle level in the entire game, and it does ease you in pretty well. There's no fighting, shooting, or bomb dragging, just a lighthearted race that you have to repeat over and over until you win. No pressure, right? But I gotta be honest, it's a nice escape from the formula of the rest of the game, yet it doesn't feel all that out of place. It's obviously not my favorite level, let alone my favorite vehicle level, and it can be very frustrating too, especially the version you have to play as one of the 6 bonus levels, which I may or may not get into that. That might be a topic for another day, but I hated those. It does have its place in the game. That's pretty much all I can say. I think it definitely goes down a lot because it's a vehicle level. I just have some weird... I have some weird vendetta against vehicle levels, which won't always be the case. You'll find out in the next few parts of the series. Now, this level has me saying, why? Okay, sorry, I just had to say that. Why I dislike this level is very similar to why I dislike Secret Plans. It's long. And that's not always a bad thing, but in this case, it kind of is. At least the scenery does change more often, and the side areas for mini-kits and such aren't really disorienting or anything. The reason why I don't like this level are sort of, it's just a bunch of eclectic reasons, actually. Because it's so long, the blue mini-kit challenge is very hard because you have to move at breakneck speed, as some of the mini-kits are at the very end, similar with into the Death Star. On top of that, this level has a great example of how frustrating these endless mob of enemies can get, like that one phase on the beach where the stormtroopers just seem to just keep respawning and interfere with literally anything you're trying to do, like building or using the Force. This happens all the time in the game, and I think this is like one of the first levels I was like, okay, but just stop. This is definitely a weird level because the boss fight happens almost instantaneously, which threw me for a loop when playing it for the first time in years because I thought the level was just really short. Nope. You just kill Count Dooku not even 5 minutes into the level, and the rest of the time you're escorting Palpatine around like it's some weird side mission. This all makes it a pretty trippy level because it does play around with the general formula of levels we've gotten used to, and they didn't do it in a revolutionary way either. This level just sort of fell flat. It's not bad, it's just not that memorable. For some reason, I like this level a lot more when I was younger than I do now. I don't know what it is about longer levels, but this one just seemed to go on and on, especially when you're doing free play, because there's a lot of stuff, which isn't, once again, not a bad thing, but it just takes a while. The Blue Mini Kits Challenge was yet another nail-biter, as the last one is in the last phase, and I know I'm starting to sound like a broken record here, but there's just something about this level that I want it to knock my socks off so hard, but they're still firmly on my feet. However, I won't penalize this level for failing to capture the magic of the scenes from the movie, because it would have been hard enough already to make Ewoks into Lego figures, and it's cursed, but they still did a good enough job. And then translating those into a Lego game, it wasn't really going to work well from the start. Very similar to Secret Plans, this level is just a bit too monotonous as well, but hey, at least it's shorter. And the sequel trilogy, as bad as it is a very nostalgic set of movies to me, so I do like this level a bit more. It is the very first level in the entire game, and it's a great introduction to the game itself, introducing you to all the mechanics and like what different characters do and just how to play the game in general. It establishes a lot of the major character functions, like I said, in a very easy to learn process, and by the end of the level, you're kind of already in the zone, and I think that's really a really good thing to have. It's a very solid, first level in a game. So anyways, that's it. That is the first 12, the bottom 12 ranked. Tune in next time when I talk about the middle 12, the levels that are just okay.